This character is clearly what future Ubel would look like, and it might be villainous. Frieren fans go to sleep every day dreaming of every multiverse out there just to find out that the Frieren manga is still on indefinite hiatus in that universe too. If you've seen the goddess from Mythic Times lately, she's really not satisfied for how this arc is going to end because this arc is trying to yeet the feet goddess, aka the great mage Serie. So for this video, we will be focusing on the magic special forces and how they may contribute to not only saving Serie or not saving Serie, and how we're gonna find out how Captain Frase of the magic special forces, how she plays into all of this. And we all know that this is the best Frieren farming franchise around, that the creators need the genius of this 1400 sub YouTube channel to help continue the series. Make sure to check out all of my previous Frieren videos. I promise you, the videos are awesome. So let's jump right into it. How one may think of the magic special forces is that they are the public versions of the now defunct and rogue Shadow Warriors. Check out my other Frieren videos for a deeper dive into the Shadow Warriors. What makes them different from Serie's first class mages of the Continental Magic Association is that the magic special forces are militarized and hold the power to destroy an entire nation. What we learned about the rogue Shadow Warriors from Commander Lowe's mouth is the fact that they want to extinguish magic completely. This would mean the Shadow Warriors themselves, at least on the surface, is also an enemy of the Imperial Empire. This arc is about the Foundation Day Festival celebration to honor the glory of magic stemming from Flame's gift of it to the world. So naturally, it would make sense that the Empire that relies on the military uses of the magic special forces, that also acts as national defense against any internal issues like rebellions or wars, that they want to continue promoting magic. There's a lot to be revealed and to speculate over the motivations of the Shadow Warriors. Do they want to get rid of magic completely to still help the Empire? Or has their motivation shifted completely to maybe just humanity as a whole? Ubel hints at the Shadow Warriors' sense of righteousness. People that feel a strong sense of righteousness can lead one to start doing radical things in the name of helping people. The fact that the magic special forces are militaristic, unlocking more and more of the goddess's magic from Mythic Times, and are all powerful, means that humans can also be a danger to society, like how Shadow Warriors see Minas, Serie, and also Frieren. From an ideological standpoint, the Shadow Warriors are at the very least at odds with the current direction of the Empire, and that is because of how magic can be utilized as tools for obliteration. For the Foundation Festival arc itself, the magic special forces act as the middleman of the arc that is trying to prevent the chaos that will take place between the Continental Magic Association versus the Shadow Warriors led by Commander Reve that wants to extinguish magic completely. Oh, you think you could cause civil unrest? Get that crazy green-haired monster! After establishing how powerful the magic special forces are in the dichotomy between them and the Shadow Warriors, from literal undercover assassins with free reign to a more public defense force that actually have some kind of checks and balances in place. So let's discuss the characters of the magic special forces. Captain Frase is the leader, with Kanone acting as the vice captain, who is seen partner with Noi, and Weg are our biggest links so far as to understanding what role the magic special forces will play in stopping the mayhem between Serie's group versus Commander Reve's Shadow Warriors. The entirety of this arc has built up Captain Frase almost as a villain, but when you throw in the Ubel comparisons, and given that the magic special forces don't seem to be inherently evil, there is a contradiction there that needs more context. A lot of this arc is playing both sides of the fence, hence indefinite hiatus. Captain Frase is one of the most mysterious characters in this arc, just as much as Gorilla's backstory, but we can make some assumptions based on what we know so far. Let's point to all the context clues of what we know about her at this point, because she is being built as a person that is essentially an antagonist versus the peace-loving, preserving kind that her position should entail. It is Lan who informs us all about who the Magic Special Forces are. But it was in Megane's flashback that teases Captain Frieren that showed a frightened toddler land and its grandmother looking like they may be fitting off Frieren. This shows how powerful and intimidating Captain Frieren may be, but we can't really say she's a bad guy just yet. Chapter 130 and Chapter 131, when Kanone interviews Gluke about the mock incident and when Ubel and Megane escapes from captivity. This adds more and more feel to the nature of who Captain Frieren really is. We find out that Mach wanted to yeet a younger Frieren because she is someone who was destructively powerful. If we know anything about Gluke, we know that his character represents anti-corruption. However, he himself plays into dirty ways by playing fire with fire in a sense when he partnered up with Mach. Through this conversation between Kanone and Gluke, we actually get to see the more good guy side to Kanone, and in turn the Magic Special Forces as a whole. They really are there to help and protect people of the Empire, and Kanone even understands that Gluke is more of an ally that's a net good for society, like for the city of Weiss, that he truly wants to help people rather than add to the corruption. This is a part of the juxtaposition between showing Kanone as a kind-hearted individual trying to do what's best versus this constant push to advertise Captain Frieren as dangerous. But on the flip side, one can see this interrogation as kind of corrupt as well, because the people that feel righteous will do something beyond what the law is supposed to allow. It is Gluke's flashback that vehemently implies that Captain Frieren might be a person that adds to the corruption and destruction rather than help it. With Mach's haste of wanting to assassinate her, we can also come to the conclusion that she was weaker than Mach at that time, but we can now assume that after so many years, she is much stronger than before, even as a granny. As the conversation continues, Gluke starts to say the most damning things about Captain Frieren being villainous, because Gluke implies to Kanone that Frieren has some other ulterior motives and was a difficult villain to deal with. He even takes it one step further by regretting that he should have allowed Mach to yeet Frieren. This is very important, even if Gluke is just being somewhat hyperbolic. Keep in mind the first thing I said in this video. Compare Captain Frieren like the older version of Ubel. This isn't the only time we've heard another character say that they might have been better off if the other character was yeeted. It was Weirbo that alluded to the fact that maybe he should have yeeted Ubel back then during the first class mage exam. So right here, Gluke is saying the same thing about Frieren. Unlike the Shadow Assassins, where we know what they are plotting and what their end goal is about extinguishing magic, we have no clue what Captain Frieren's end goal is and what steps she will take when Serie's group and the Shadow Assassins finally meet face to face. From this conversation on, every hint about Captain Frieren's character tends to feed into her being some kind of tyrant herself. Kanone, she fears being chewed out for the incident with Noi capturing Ubel and Megane because of the destruction of their battle. So due to Captain Frieren's nature, they kind of keep it on the hush hush. Then Noi himself says that Ubel's sensibilities reminded him of Captain Frieren. So right when Kanone gets done talking to Gluke, we get this direct comparison between Frieren and Ubel. So that signals to us as the audience to continually now compare the two. If we didn't think Captain Frieren wasn't already a red flag prior to the Ubel comparison, the story's purposeful analogy to Ubel is the biggest red flag there is. At this point of the story, we can literally draw parallels from Ubel to Frieren as to what kind of person she is. Lan mentioned before that the Magic Special Forces may like fighting a little too much. That might be in relation to Frieren leading them to be that way. And that sounds a lot like what Serie likes. She loves those ambitious, fiery types when she recruits first class mages. When Frieren mentions that Serie is trying to pick a fight with someone when she entered the Imperial capital to get ready to celebrate magic at the festival ball, it teases Captain Frieren right there. Ubel and Serie are clearly characters that love chaos and fighting. Our feet goddess be telling Ubel to go crazy. I mean, look at that face when she was clowning mocked. Am I starting to make the argument that maybe the Shadow Warriors should yeet the feet goddess? Since the Magic Special Forces are the third-party group in all of this, it's hard to pinpoint how their role in all of this will matter. But it's clearly going to come down to what Captain Froste's motivations are, even though we don't have much to work with besides what her sensibilities are and what Gluke deemed as corruption. As it relates to the younger Froste coming up, that might actually be enough to assume what she might do next. So let's play around with some ideas, cause who doesn't love speculation? If we just use what we know about Captain Froste and her personality, we know that she purposefully plays into the corruption, as Gluke is someone that has been trying to fight corruption and avoided yeeting her over the years. We can conclude that Froste is a contributor to the destruction and chaos in some way. We don't need to know her motive, we just need to know from experience from someone like Gluke that has dealt with her what she has been known to do. Specifics they haven't really told us, but I think we can agree to Gluke's estimation of her character. The story has drawn parallels to both Serie wanting to potentially fight her, and that she is very much like Ubel who loves to fight. You get 3 crazy chicks, a younger one that wants to steal Megane's feelings for potential destructive means, one that's old, corrupted, and is like Ubel and Serie, and one that's really old that wants to take blowing things up to its highest heights. And when you get all these crazy B words together, you get unnecessary explosions! Remember, when Ubel was first introduced, she left a bunch of dead bodies behind in self-defense. It was Craft that helped prevent Ubel from yeeting more bandits. Even though Ubel was technically in the right in defending herself from bad guys, she invites or allows this kind of behavior to reach the point where it is socially acceptable for her to play into her sadism, rather than try to find a more peaceful option out of it like what Craft did, by beating them up and letting them escape, with the fact that hopefully they learned their lesson. We can apply that exact situation for what Captain Froste is as a person. In my estimation, she technically finds herself in the right, but she enjoys the chaos and the fighting. So rather than taking the approach where no one dies and finding the best resolution for everyone, I think she lets very bad situations kinda happen, just so she can have the opportunity to impale something, just like Ubel. Save us, Megane! When Captain Froste and Kanone do eventually talk, and we only get a piece of her in chapter 139 when they talk about their mission to uphold peace during this festival ball. Captain Froste mentions that they have free reins from the higher ups to do as they please to protect the people at the festival, including murdering. This is where when you get characters that love to blow things up and yeet people, the option to de-escalate is usually not their first option. One more kind of ideological contrast I want to make stemming from this Froste and Kanone conversation is how Frieren handles the guerrilla situation with Zion. Frieren wants the best outcome possible, meaning to save everyone if that is an option, including guerrilla for Zion. So we can already see someone like Craft and Frieren how they handle these situations a bit differently from someone like a Ubel or a Froste. So when Kanone and Froste speak, it kind of shows that the Magic Special Forces are not that different from the Shadow Warriors, as they will yeet anyone on behalf of protecting the Empire, because they are allowed to. It's this righteousness of Froste, and keyword righteousness, which draws that parallel to all the rogue Shadow Warriors like Commander Revek, meaning people's lives are not top priority. Protecting magic is. It's almost like the Serie instance dynamic, where you know one prefers peace, where the other wants a little bit of that chaos. Captain Froste and Vice Captain Kanone seem to have a conflicting ideology of how they can handle things with violence versus the more peaceful outcome. So going back to the Ubel comparison of her of being like a younger version of Captain Frase, this dialogue between her and Megane gives me a little bit of hope that she can quell some of those destructive instincts, because she destroyed this building, putting a lot of people in danger, and that is a situation that Megane himself doesn't really want. I really do hope that Megane and Ubel work out, because the more and more you look at Captain Frase's character, she might end up being what the future version of Ubel can look like if she continues this path of destructive sensibilities. This is why I'm seeing more and more of Ubel's character turning into someone that isn't going to become a villain, because the Frieren story tends to show an example of what that can look like, and I think that character comparison for a future version of Ubel is Captain Frase. It's the same reason why I think Serie will end up living and not be assassinated, because of the introduction of Minos' character. Being a great mage, we have to think that this elf was one of the most powerful characters in the world, and represents what Serie could have been if she turned tyrannical. Yamada Kanehito tends to write other character as like an outlet to prove something about a character of similar qualities, or prove that this is what they could be. I think that is why there is a Minos to represent a dark version of Serie, like how Captain Frase represents what Ubel can be as well. So in conclusion, I think that Captain Frase is a crazy bitch that invites chaos. As of right now, I don't think it's that much deeper than that. I mean, what is the reason why Ubel is always so insistent on choosing violence? Like that is her first choice every time. And why does Serie enjoy pushing magic to such ambitious levels? I think it's that thrill and excitement that you get that you won't get from a peaceful world. And that is why Frieren and Flamme are like mages in times for peace. And clearly Serie is not. Serie even hints at this with her conversation with Sense, that if she told Sense what she was choosing in chaos, she's probably going to be against it. The arc has done nothing but showed what kind of personality Captain Frase really has. They haven't really introduced a bigger motivating factor like what Yamada Kanehito has done with the Shadow Warriors. So in my humble opinion, we have to go with the obvious personality quirk, that she just loves the thrill of engaging in combat. Hopefully that actually ties into Ubel and Megane's backstory somehow, that grows their relationship in a more positive direction, whereas Captain Frase might end up being that bad example to learn from. However, the fact that Lan's backstory can be tied to Captain Frase in the Imperial Empire, along with the fact that Serie suggesting his connection of the past to the Empire, which is clearly a touchy subject for poor Megane. This adds to the terrifying nature of Captain Frase's real personality. And if there is a bigger motivating factor behind why she comes off as a villain, it's not too far-fetched to think that Captain Frase could somehow be responsible for his parents' deaths. It becomes like this interlinking mirror reflection I think the Frieren story loves to do. The fact that the story compares Ubel and Captain Frase makes it an even more compelling connection. And so what I'm saying here is that Captain Frase needs a Megane to put the reins on your girl before she goes ballistic. But yeah guys, let me know what you guys think about the comparison between Ubel and Captain Frase. What role will the magic special forces play when Serie is being yeeted? Is there more to Captain Frase's character that I am missing that's up to chapter 140 right now? Let me know in the comments below, and do me a favor guys, hit the like button if you want the Frieren manga to continue, and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog otakusen.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.